Welcome to the southern edge of the Caribbean, to a twin island nation forged in the crucible of history, Trinidad and Tobago. This is a story of resilience, a vibrant tapestry woven from indigenous roots, colonial ambition, the pain of enslavement, the hope of new beginnings, and the triumphant rise of a nation. So, how did this rainbow country come to be? Let's dive in. Long before any European ships sailed these waters, Trinidad and Tobago were alive with people. For over 7,000 years, indigenous groups called these islands home. The peaceful Arawaks, skilled farmers from South America's Orinoco River region, settled here first. Later came the Caribs, fierce warriors who often clashed with the Arawaks. Trinidad, being so close to the mainland, was a cultural extension of South America. Tobago, however, was a different story. Smaller and more isolated, it became a prize fiercely fought over, earning it the ominous nickname, the Bone of Contention. Then, in 1498, everything changed. On his third voyage, Christopher Columbus sighted 3 peaks on the larger island and, reminded of the Holy Trinity, named it Trinidad. He claimed it for Spain, marking the beginning of the end for the island's first peoples. The Spanish, however, were more interested in the vast riches of colonies like Cuba and Hispaniola, so their settlement of Trinidad was slow. Missionaries arrived, but it was disease and forced labor that truly decimated the indigenous population. By the 18th century, their vibrant communities were all but gone. The real transformation of Trinidad began in 1783 with a Spanish law called the Cedula of Population. This was a game changer. It invited French Catholic planters and their enslaved people, as well as free black people, to settle the island. Suddenly, Trinidad was flooded with French language, Catholic traditions, and most importantly, a massive influx of African culture and people who would forever shape the soul of the nation. Meanwhile, Tobago was caught in a chaotic tug-of-war, changing hands over 30 times between the Spanish, Dutch, French, and British, all fighting for control of its valuable sugar plantations. Eventually, British power prevailed. In 1797, they seized Trinidad from Spain with little resistance, and by 1814, they had secured full control over Tobago as well. Under British rule, the economy of both islands was driven by one thing: sugar. And sugar meant slavery. The sugarcane plantations were brutal, built on the backs of thousands of Africans forced into labor under the most horrific conditions. This dark chapter laid the economic foundation of the colony, but left a legacy of pain that the islands are still grappling with today. The winds of change began to blow in the 19th century. Britain abolished the slave trade in 1807, and in 1834, slavery itself was finally abolished. After a cruel 4-year period of forced apprenticeship, full emancipation was granted in 1838. Freed Africans established their own communities, determined to build new lives away from the plantations they despised. But this created a massive labor shortage for the British estate owners. Their solution would once again change the face of Trinidad and Tobago forever. Starting in 1845, the British began a new system: indentureship. They brought laborers from India who signed contracts to work on the sugar estates for 5 years in exchange for passage and a small wage. Between 1845 and 1917, over 140,000 Indians made the long journey to Trinidad. They brought with them their religions, Hinduism and Islam, their festivals like Diwali and Hosei, their food, their music, and their traditions. They held on to their culture fiercely, and in doing so, they added a rich, new layer to the island's identity. This fusion of African, Indian, European, Chinese, and Middle Eastern cultures created the incredible multicultural society we see today. The two islands were not yet one. Tobago's sugar-based economy collapsed after emancipation, and the island struggled. In 1889, in a move of administrative convenience, Britain formally united it with its larger, more prosperous neighbor, creating the single colony of Trinidad and Tobago. At the same time, Another revolution was happening under the soil. Oil was discovered in Trinidad in the mid-19th century, and by the early 1900s, large-scale production began. Black gold would soon transform the economy, shifting its focus away from agriculture and towards energy. With economic change came the demand for political change. The 20th century saw the rise of a powerful new consciousness. Workers and intellectuals began to demand greater rights and self-governance. Leaders like Captain Arthur Cipriani championed the cause of the working class in the 1920s. Then, in 1937, the island was rocked by major labor riots led by the charismatic Uriah "Buzz" Butler. These protests for better wages and conditions were a turning point, sparking the birth of the modern trade union movement and fueling the fire of nationalism. After World War II, the call for independence grew louder. A brilliant historian named Dr. Eric Williams emerged as the leader of this movement. In 1956, he founded the People's National Movement, or PNM, with a vision of an educated, proud, and independent nation. Known as the Father of the Nation, Williams guided his people on the final steps of their journey. On August 31, 1962, Trinidad and Tobago finally achieved independence from Britain. A new flag was raised, red for the vitality of the land and its people, white for the sea and the purity of their aspirations, and black for the dedication of a united people. Independence was just the beginning. In 1976, the country became a republic, replacing the British monarch with its own president as head of state. The oil boom of the 1970s brought incredible wealth, funding rapid development and making Trinidad and Tobago one of the richest nations in the Caribbean. But this oil wealth also brought challenges, like economic inequality and a heavy dependency on the energy sector. Today, Trinidad and Tobago's strength lies in its incredible diversity. It's a place where the rhythms of African drums meet the melodies of Indian chutney music to create soca. It's where you can enjoy African-inspired pilau one day and an Indian-inspired roti the next. It's a land of festivals, from the explosive energy of Carnival, with its roots in emancipation and French masquerade, to the beautiful lights of the Hindu festival of Diwali. From its indigenous origins and the scars of colonialism to the birth of a vibrant, independent nation, the story of Trinidad and Tobago is a powerful testament to the human spirit. It's a nation that has transformed its painful history into a source of strength, creativity, and unparalleled cultural richness. It stands today as a beacon of unity and diversity, a country that continues to honor its past while boldly shaping its future. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through the history of Trinidad and Tobago. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories from around the world. See you next time.